All right, Bulls fans. So, as you guys know, I don't have very many collabs during the season because it's just difficult with getting everything to work out. But today, me and Duncan from the SlamDuncan are going to break down some tape from the Bulls, talk about the Bulls overall. We're going to do all that right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
And welcome into the show. Duncan is in the building. How's it going, Duncan?
It's going good. Unfortunately, Chicago sports are in a pretty bad situation, but other than that, I'm doing good. How are you doing, Haize?
I'm doing all right, man. Bulls lost right before this recording, the day before this recording. We play the Bucks as the day of this recording, so we'll see. Knowing the Bulls, how up and down it's been, they'll probably beat the Bucks by like 15 points, and right. It's just how things have gone. White Sox, we got bad White Sox. Chicago sports is all over the place, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's what we do. It's us as fans. We just gotta go through it.
That's a fact. So before we get into breaking down some tape and going over how the Bulls offense may have changed a little bit, how do you feel right now about where the Bulls sit? Like there's this, I think like in the Bulls nation, in the fan community, there's some people that think, hey, the Bulls should have really just bottomed out, maybe got to up their chances at a lottery pick. The Bulls now have clinched, and they're going to be in a play-in spot. That doesn't mean they could still be in the lottery if they don't make it out that play-in tournament. How do you feel right now about the Bulls season and, their chances at postseason success?
Yeah. All I'm going to say is that I don't think that there's really much of a chance for postseason success or even making it to the postseason currently. It is very unfortunate for this season because I did expect this Bulls team to be in the postseason, not be necessarily a top seed, but be in the postseason. And even if, let's say, the Bulls won against the Atlanta Hawks last night, I still think that this Bulls team wasn't making the postseason. I do think that we may have won the first play-in game, but I don't see ourselves winning against either Miami or Toronto in the play-in tournament, unfortunately. And it's really, really unfortunate to see that for this year. And I'm just going to also say this. I don't think that we should be tanking personally, but Agreed. I know the fan base is also the fan base, and they're going to all want Victor Wembanyama.
Exactly. And I look at tanking like this. Like, it took – I always look at Philly. Philly tanked for almost a decade, and they walked away with Joel Embiid out of that tanking. Almost every other young player they drafted isn't on that team, and they haven't even gotten close to a title yet. Like, tanking doesn't work the way I get it. Like, for some fans, it makes you feel like, okay, this team is at least doing something. They're gonna have chances to draft that next superstar, but it doesn't always work out that way. So, and even look at how we got Derrick Rose. We weren't tanking that season. We just had a bad season. So,
yeah, and I think when it comes to this Bulls team, I'm not full out ready to tank, especially without a blue chip prospect already on the roster. I like Patrick Williams. I always say he's OG Anunoby 2.0, but I don't think he's a for sure all-star. And when I have a guy like Zach LaVine, who I don't think he's a number one, but I think he's truly valuable in today's game, I'm not going to be sitting here saying we need to go ahead and trade Zach and full out tank this team. But I do think that moves definitely need to be made, especially to the core, and I hope that AK and Mark Eversley are ready to make some moves this offseason.
Definitely. That's what I've been saying for a while. I've been of the mindset, like, no matter how this season ends, it doesn't change that Acme and Eversley need to get busy this offseason. They got to earn their money again this offseason. So we'll see if they do that, man. But, the trade deadline went by. Bulls didn't do anything. They ended up bringing in Pat Bev. And that's when I initially reached out to you about wanting to do this episode and just talk about how things have maybe changed for the Bulls since the acquisition of Pat Bev. We got some tape we're going to break down. Let me go ahead and bring that on the screen now. And we are going to start talking about it. All right, Duncan, at this point, this becomes your show. I would go ahead and play this video now.
All right. So, first off, actually, could you pause it just as I start this? So there are three things when it comes to an offense in today's NBA game that I truly look at. And it's because of how today's kind of game is turned into a modern style game where you have a lot of three-point shooting. You obviously have a lot of people getting to the paint. And then the free throw line is also a very efficient type shot. Now, when it comes to the Chicago Bulls team, I'm going to list you some stats here that are pretty bad overall for this team. First off, this Chicago Bulls team, I think we all know with the three-point shooting, right? The three-point shooting, unfortunately, is not very good. But currently, the Chicago Bulls team is only at the bottom of the league in terms of three-point makes per game. They also shoot the least amount of threes per game. And Obviously, that's part one is just that's bad. Okay. Part two here. The Chicago Bulls, in terms of paint points per game, they're currently ranked 19th. They average 48.3 points in the paint per game. Uh, that's not top 15. We're still looking, unfortunately, at the bottom half of the league in that case. And then in terms of free throws, in terms of free throw makes, the Chicago Bulls are currently ranked 19th, and they make 17.8 free throws per game. They average 22 free throws attempted per game. Still, though, as you can see here, we're at the bottom half of the league.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I think for a successful team on offense, you need to dominate at least one of those categories. And this is just to be, in my opinion, just to be a good team, not a great team. Just you need to dominate at least one of those categories. And the Bulls, unfortunately, are at the bottom of the barrel in all those categories. And it's the reason why I've been upset with the offense a lot. But as we move into the clips here, I think that there's been at least some sort of positivity with this Bulls team since the All-Star break. And I'm going to break it down here, kind of showing some clips that do exactly what I want this Bulls team to do, which is, again, paint points, threes, and get to the free throw line. So we can go to the first clip here.
All right, let me bring that up.
And in this clip here, we're going to see a pin down by Nikola Vucevic, and you can stop it like right there. Oh, never mind. It's okay, though. But basically in this play, I wanted to bring this play up because the Chicago Bulls team, we're trying to get more points in the paint, right? And this whole entire play is set up by setting a double pin down screen for Nikola Vucevic to come off of. And what this does, even if it doesn't necessarily, occupy Joel Embiid and takes him completely out of the paint, right? What this does, though, is that Joel Embiid is focused on Nikola Vucevic because he has a three-point shot, right? What this then does is because Zach LaVine is very good at breaking down his defender, he can then get into the paint without a shot blocker really contesting him very hard. As you can see here, Joel Embiid is a little bit late on this because of this action, and you can go ahead and finish the clip. And Zach is able to finish this with an and one possibility here. And as we move into a very similar clip here, this is a play that the Chicago Bulls have been running throughout this season. Same situation here, except this is DeMar DeRozan with the basketball. There's a double pin down by Vucevic. It gets Bam Adebayo out of the paint, right? And then we can stop it here. And you saw that in that clip, DeMar DeRozan is able to get into the paint because Bam Adebayo is occupied from Nikola Vucevic. So these are two plays that has been suddenly implemented into this Bulls offense since post All-Star break. That has allowed DeRozan and LaVine to get a little bit of better drives to get into the paint and occupy that rim protector that they're facing. All right.
Okay. All right. I like that, and I do like the fact that it allows the Bulls as well to not only get into the paint, but the chance to get into the free throw line as well. And those are both things that we need to see this Bulls team do a lot more. So great point out there, Duncan.
Yeah. All right. Next clip here. This next clip is going to be talking about off-ball movement, and we can stop it now. We good? All right.
Yep.
So we just saw on this play here, this is a double pin down for Zach LaVine. Okay. This is something that I have been very, very, very expressive about. That I think Zach LaVine should be, his off-ball ability should be utilized a lot more. And we see here DeRozan and Vucevic set a pin down screen or double pin down screen for Zach to come off of. What this does right here, you can see with Gabe Vincent that he's trailing Zach already, right? Yeah. And with LaVine's ability to shoot the ball very well, he can either shoot this shot, but more importantly is to get inside the paint, right? You can go ahead and play this right here. He has a step on Gabe Vincent without even dribbling the basketball. And we know with Zach's explosiveness that he can just go right inside very quickly. So that's just another example of that this Bulls team is starting to kind of use Zach in that sort of situation to kind of get him some more paint drives throughout the game.
Nice.
All right. Now, these next two clips here, this is going to be talking about how the Chicago Bulls have used DeMar DeRozan very, very effectively, okay? You can pause it here, actually. So in this clip, this is a mid-range shot. Now, if you know me and people that have been on my channel, I've been very, very annoyed with how many mid-range shots the Bulls attempt. They attempt the most mid-range shots per game, and it's not even close to who's the second most attempts per game, which is the Atlanta Hawks, I believe. But the Bulls average about 3 more attempts per game from mid-range. A lot of it's due to DeMar DeRozan. But if with DeMar DeRozan here, right, he's a mid-range master. So you have to somehow utilize this effectively. And in this sort of play here, you can see the spacing being utilized where you get DeMar DeRozan into the elbow area. you space the floor correctly where he's allowed to isolate completely, which, if you're not aware, DeMar DeRozan is one of the best isolation players in the league today. And this spacing allows DeMar DeRozan to go one-on-one with his defender and get an open look in his area. So this is kind of just taking advantage of DeMar DeRozan's great mid-range game. But in the next clip here, we can finish this clip, I'm going to show you how then the Bulls can utilize this for something else, which is to get a three-point shot of it. We can pause it here. Similar type setup, right? DeMar DeRozan's in the same spot on the floor at the elbow area, and the spacing, you see Patrick Beverley is already running out to the corner. But in this play here, you actually see on the weak side action, we're going to pay attention to Alex Caruso and Zach LaVine here. We see that Alex Caruso is basically he's dive cutting to the basket, right? And Zach LaVine is then going to be running off a pin down from Nikola Vucevic towards the top of the key. Something that the Golden State Warriors do all the time is you post up Draymond Green, but not to score. It's the pass, right? And this right here with the high post up with DeMar DeRozan, again, this is his area. He's the mid-range master. This is going to make the defense very focused on him, and then the off-ball movement can start to happen, and hence, as you can play the clip here, Zach LaVine's able to get this open three-point shot. Catch and shoot, obviously, Stacey King talks about it. It's not exactly, as great as Stacey King talks about, but catch and shoot three-point shots in general are always good. And obviously, when you have a 39% three-point shooter and Zach LaVine shooting it, that's a good thing too, right? Definitely. Okay. Now, this clip here is something that I really want the Bulls to be continuing to do. We can freeze it now. Cool. I am going to definitely get some criticism for what I'm about to say here, and I am very ready to take it. But Stacey King says it's a simple game every single game. Mm-hmm. Every single time, it's about Nikola Vucevic posting up consistently, and Vucevic every time he makes that little post-up shot. And look, when Nikola Vucevic got here, I thought he was an elite post-up player, but unfortunately, I have realized that he is not. The numbers say so. He averages 1.04 points per possession per post-up, and that is unfortunately not that great. It's decent, but it's not that good. Nikola Jokic, for example, averages about 1.26 points per possession, and he is the top of the league. And Joel Embiid averages about 1.16 points per possession. Those are two guys that I think are very obviously better than Nikola Vucevic as just players, but also just we see in terms of post-up ability that they're better than Vucevic. Now, the biggest thing to me is this. The Chicago Bulls, they post up Nikola Vucevic very frequently, actually. They post up about 20% of the time per game, okay? Or at least 20% of his possessions is a post-up.
That's honestly surprising. I wouldn't have thought it was that high.
Yeah, see, we think it's not that high because Stacey King says it's not, right? But in my opinion, the Bulls actually post them up a good amount. Just for reference, Joel Embiid posts up in all of his possessions, he posts up about 16% of the time. So better post-up player in Joel Embiid is posting up less than Nikola Vucevic. So if you're saying, Duncan, Nikola Vucevic needs to score. I'm like, yes, he does, and I want him to score. But something that's been pointed out to me is that Nikola Vucevic's rim frequency is about 30th percentile for a center in the NBA. How can you get Nikola Vucevic more shots at the rim? Get him more paint points, but without the post-up. Because the issue with the post-up is that he tends to shoot it from 12 feet out, 10 feet out. Not necessarily paint shots, right? But can I get him layups? Can I get him more dunks? And in this play here, where we saw the action, we saw DeMar DeRozan come off a pin down initially towards the wing side, right? But then we see them go right into a pick and roll action, and it's on that one side of the floor. As you can play the clip here, what this then allows Vucevic to do is roll pretty hard, and this is Rudy Gobert that we're talking about in the paint, right? Yeah, he's able to get a 5-foot shot out of that pick and roll play, right? This is something that I want to see the Bulls do more, is run the pick and roll Nikola Vucevic, because I think that he could be a lot more efficient with his shots if he runs the pick and roll and gets those paint opportunities.
So, and just to kind of bring it all, so what you're saying is that Vooch thrives in scoring in the post, but not on post ups. Is that what I'm gathering from that?
Sort of.
Okay.
So I'll put it this way. Like, I think with Nikola Vucevic that he can score in the post, and He can be effective down there. The issue right now is that he's just not efficient currently with whenever he does have a post up play run for him.
Okay.
So in a sense, then I'm saying let's just scrap that and just run the pick and roll. Now the other thing too is this: everyone talks about the mismatch with Nikola Vucevic. I'm not going to break this down in this video, but we've seen in today's game that people or teams can double team the post up effectively, but then also recover very effectively. There's a reason why that whenever Vucevic has the post up and he has the mismatch, right, and he gets the ball, he gets double teamed like that, right? And everyone thinks, oh, that's a good thing. That means open shot for someone else. The thing is, though, is that because of the change in the NBA where you have basically 4 perimeter players out there all at once, they're all lengthy, they're all fast, they're all athletic, right? You can recover quickly, and it doesn't necessarily help the Bulls, especially when you lack a three-point shooting on a team like this. It's not going to help this Bulls team if Vucevic is really trying to exploit these mismatches. Okay, so I do think that he can score down there, but it's not efficient enough. And according to the numbers, it does say that the Bulls should be doing a lot more of driving with obviously with Zach, but then pick and roll with DeMar DeRozan and just in general catch and shoot with Zach. Those are all just more efficient ways of basketball for this Bulls team.
Okay.
At least just for now, how this team is constructed. Right.
Fair.
Now, Patrick Beverley effect. This is, in my opinion, the definition of a Patrick Beverley effect. Okay. This is the Bulls in transition, and the Bulls in post All-Star break, their offense is currently rated actually 7th, I believe, overall. Mm-hmm. Now, in general, for the entire season, it's rated 23rd. It's terrible. It's a terrible offense. But what Patrick Beverley has done is that he's went to Zach and said, look, you're here to score. Just put the ball in the hole. That's your job. But something that the Bulls have done is that they have really taken advantage of transition opportunities recently. Mm-hmm. And it may not necessarily be the first push, right? But it could be the second push. It could be the secondary fast break. Let's just pay attention to Patrick Beverley on this play. He's already pointing out down the court, and he's basically calling out to Zach LaVine, hey, come over here. We're going to set a screen for you to come up to the top of the key, and then we're going to have you launch this three-point shot. This is a secondary break, okay? This isn't like, obviously, like a 3-on-1 where we're supposed to get the layup, right? This is where, okay, the defense has retreated. We tried pushing it initially, but we couldn't get anything done. Okay, Beverley is going to be like, all right, Zach, we're going to run this play for you in transition because the defense is retreating. Let's run Zach off a pin down, get him an open three-point shot. I know some Bulls fans don't like this, but this is modern-day basketball, and Zach LaVine is one of the best three-point shooters in today's game. He is supposed to shoot that sort of shot, and I'm happy to see the Bulls start doing this a little bit more since post All-Star break.
Fair, and I think it's also helped expand Zach's game more, and him just taking that ball handling out of his hands and that responsibility off him has helped him just be a much more dangerous scorer as well.
Oh, for sure. And I always think that, like, Zach, his driving ability, like, you want the ball obviously in his hands when he drives. The pick and roll is also something that he is pretty good with, but the isolation isn't too bad with him. Like, he's actually pretty okay. But it's really when it's like the set defense is when I do get a little bit nervous with them. It's like, they'll turn it over. But even so, that's just kind of how a lot of stars are in today's game, right? Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, they do this a lot where they turn it over in like those half-court sets. So how can we get Zach really going to the basket or getting open looks in transition, right, where we're not facing a half-court defense? And this is one of those ways that I think Patrick Beverley has had a huge effect on this team. Since he's gotten here.
Fair.
Yeah. All right. I think that's all my clips I have.
Is it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Perfect. So question now. Let's bring it all home, Duncan. I'm going to ask you this. This season kind of is what it is. What if Nikola Vucevic does come back, which is a big if, I think, at this point, what are the Bulls' best chances to modernize their offense, to have a more efficient offense? Or do you think that kind of the struggles that we have now are always going to be struggles as long as we have, DeMar, Zach, Vooch, those combination of 3 players are there? Can they realistically do enough with this roster that you think that they can adapt that offense?
So obviously, if you add any sort of three-point shooting, it's going to help modernize this offense, right? And I think that's obviously step one, I think, with this team. Now, if let's say DeRozan, Levine, and Vucevic are all back next season, okay, what the Bulls could do to help modernize his offense is with Vucevic, he just has to get away from this post up. If he gets away from this post up and most of his shots come at the rim and he's also shooting a 3-point shot. Also, if you're not aware, he has taken a ton of mid-range shots, and that's the most shots he's taken this season, more than paint shots, which again, not great. That's how this Bulls team can start moving towards more modernization. Now with DeMar DeRozan, this is the biggest thing with this team. I am really, really scared about this team moving forward if DeMar DeRozan is playing this sort of game that he has played in his first 2 seasons here in Chicago and the offense. Okay. If DeMar DeRozan is going to play this slow style and solely rely on his jump shooting ability from mid range, and he is going to be the number 1 or number 2 option, I do worry about this team and how they're going to modernize this offense. But what I think DeMar DeRozan can do is he can get to the paint more. Like his rim frequency, I believe, is only 25th percentile. It's not good compared to Zach, who's 75th percentile. That's something that I think DeRozan, while he is getting older, he can get more paint touches. And I think that's something that he can start to work on maybe in the offseason. But even with those changes, I do worry. And it's mostly with DeRozan and Vucevic still here, which is kind of my foreshadow of what I want the Bulls maybe to do this upcoming offseason.
So is it one of them, or would you? You're a perfect offseason. Both of them aren't Bulls anymore at the end of this offseason.
So the perfect offseason, in my opinion, is obviously you somehow get returns for both, and both of them are gone. And you obviously need decent returns, right? It's not just they're gone and you get nothing back, right?
Yeah. Sure.
I do think recently with Casey Johnson's recent mailbag, he made some interesting comments. I do think at least one of them is gone. I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't know who, but I think at least one of them is going to be gone next season.
And I mean, when you look at it just, I know some people are more like Vooch more. Some people are more inclined to like DeMar. But when you really look at it, this team and this combination of players, it's failed, right? When you look, it just to be honest with you, they failed to really do what needed to happen when this team. Now, there are, of course, circumstances to that. Nobody expected Lonzo Ball to only play 33 games for us in 2 seasons. People, I think also AK was betting on Patrick Williams making a leap that has not happened yet. Still could happen. Every year that goes by, I look at the superstar ceiling of Patrick Williams. That's all but gone. I just want to see Patrick Williams turn into a solid Luau Deng. I would love that to happen. And so I think that when you look at this roster objectively, that it has to be changes, and some of those changes have to come at the top. We can't really add the talent that we need. And I know a lot of Bulls fans say, well, just let Io walk, just let this person walk. It's like, okay, but that's not going to open up enough touches or salary cap to really bring in the talent then that you need to improve this team. And you got to kind of start at the top. So
I totally agree.
Yeah. Well, Duncan, thank you so much, man, for spending your time going through this with me, man. This has been a long time coming. I wouldn't mind doing a couple more of these over the summer. This is, you already know me and you've talked. I've been in your live streams, man. I love how you break down the game. I honestly feel you're the best in the business at it, man. So thank you for spending your time with me today. Make sure you plug your social media, your channel. Let everybody know where they can find you.
First off, thank you, Haize. This has been an amazing opportunity, and I truly love everything that you do and all your content. So this is truly an amazing opportunity for me. You can find me at youtube.com/@SlamDuncan. That is specifically for my Chicago Bulls content. And you can follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14, where you can see me talking about Chicago Bulls and the Chicago White Sox on there.
Stressful. 2 Reinsdorf-owned teams, man. I don't know why we do this to ourselves. I don't know why we do this to ourselves, but
it's terrible.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in, man. You guys already know where you can follow me at CEO Haize. You can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave in a text message, voicemail, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. Me and Duncan, we out, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.